Week 34 Day 1. Site location. Since the newly married couple selected the site for their new home with meticulous care. Sense site. Noun C1. A place where something is, was, or will be built, or where something happened, is happening, or will happen. A building site. The council haven't yet chosen the site for the new hospital. This is the site of the accident. 2. A website. Site. Verb to usually plus adverb or preposition formal, to exist or be built in a particular place. The company head office is sited in Rome. Vigil. Wakeful watching. Sense the hunter maintained a discreet, watchful and wary vigil, as he waited for the propitious moment, to bag his quarry. Sense vigil. Noun C or U. An act of staying awake, especially at night, in order to be with an ill person, or to express especially political disagreement, or to pray. His parents kept vigil beside his bed for weeks before he died. Supporters of the peace movement held an all-night candlelit vigil outside the cathedral. Cumbersome, unwieldy, burdensome. Sense with rancor he faced the cumbersome job of transporting the voluminous records to his new office. Sense cumbersome. Adjective. Awkward because of being large, heavy or ineffective. Cumbersome equipment. Cumbersome bureaucracy. Interrogate. Question. Sense before they began to interrogate the criminal, they had to admonish him that his testimony might be used to incarcerate, prison him. Sense interrogate. Verb T1. To ask someone a lot of questions for a long time in order to obtain information, sometimes using threats or violence. Thousands of dissidents have been interrogated or imprisoned in recent weeks. 2. Specialize. To obtain information from a computer. Interrogation. Noun C or U. One by one they were taken for interrogation. She was subjected to torture and lengthy interrogations. Interrogator. Noun C. Divulge. Disclose, reveal. Sense even under duress force, he was adamant and would not divulge the secret. Sense divulge. Verb T. To make something secret known. Journalists do not divulge their sources. Plus question word. The managing director refused to divulge how much she earned. To take a leaf out of someone's book, to imitate or follow the example. Sense the chip off the old block took a leaf from his father's book, and never sowed wild oats. Another plan. Robert was far from tranquil, as he waited in the lobby for almost an hour after the performance had begun. Disgruntled, he quit the site of his vigil. He had to face the fact that he was making no tangible progress. Tomorrow he would telephone several women's residences. It was a cumbersome way of going about the hunt, but it was all that he could think of at the moment. He would interrogate the desk clerks, and perhaps he might uncover a pertinent clue to Evelyn's whereabouts. If he could only get someone to divulge her hiding place, perhaps tomorrow would culminate in success. Week 34 Day 2. Fluctuate. Shift, alternate. Sense the current trend in the stock market is for stocks to fluctuate in a sporadic fashion. Fluctuate. Verb I. To change or vary, especially continuously and between one level or thing and another. Vegetable prices fluctuate according to the season. Her wages fluctuate between 150 and 200 a week. Her weight fluctuates wildly. Fluctuating prices. Fluctuation. Noun C or U. Fluctuations in share prices. The exchange rate. Temperature. Unmitigated, unrelieved, as bad as can be. Sense he wasn't exactly an unmitigated liar, he merely embellished the truth a little. Sense unmitigated. Adjective usually before noun complete, often describing something bad or unsuccessful, that has no good or positive points. The whole venture has been an unmitigated disaster. Commodious. Large, spacious. Sense in his sumptuous luxurious house he had a commodious den, in which he kept an array of trophies, as incontrovertible evidence of his skill. Sense commodious. Adjective formal. Describes a room or house that has a lot of space. Antiquated, out of date, obsolete. Sense is it banally trademark to say that good manners are antiquated in our milieu environment. Sense antiquated. Adjective old-fashioned or unsuitable for modern society. It will take many years to modernize these antiquated industries. Compared with modern satellite dishes, ordinary TV aerials look positively antiquated. Antiquated ideas, attitudes, values. Antiquated laws, machinery, technology. Disheveled, disorderly clothing or hair. Sense the nondescript, indolent beggar was in a disheveled condition. Null. Disheveled, as usually disheveled. Adjective of people or their appearance very untidy. Disheveled hair. Clothes. Appearance he ran in looking rather disheveled. Brass tacks. The real problem or situation. Sense after some moments of congenial levity, they got down to brass tacks. A hope. The next day, Wednesday, saw Robert become more frustrated. He would fluctuate between high hopes of finding Evelyn and unmitigated despair when he was almost ready to desist in his search. The phone calls had elicited almost nothing. Robert had rushed to one women's residence when the clerk described a girl who might just be Evelyn. The desk clerk phoned to her room on the pretext that she had a special delivery letter. Robert waited in the commodious lobby, replete with large, antiquated pieces of furniture. He watched from a discreet distance as she came down the stairs. One look at her wan face, slovenly dress, and disheveled hair was enough to inform Robert that he needed no further scrutiny. This could not be his impeccable, faultless Evelyn. No. Week 34, Day 3. Tenacious, tough, stubborn sense. He held on to his antiquated beliefs with a tenacious obsession. Sense, tenacious adjective, holding tightly onto something, or keeping an opinion in a determined way. The baby took my finger in its tenacious little fist. There has been tenacious local opposition to the new airport. Tenaciously, adverb, tenacity, noun, you the determination to continue what you are doing. Fade, front, superficial appearance. Sense, his face wore the most doleful fade. Facade, noun, 1. See also fade, the front of a building, especially a large or attractive building. The gallery's elegant 18th century facade. 2. As a false appearance that is more pleasant than the reality. Behind that amiable facade, he's a deeply unpleasant man. We are fed up with this facade of democracy. Asinine, copyright, sense, silly, stupid. Sense, how asinine of the boy to fabricate that bizarre story. Sense, asinine adjective, formal, extremely stupid. An asinine comment, grimace, facial expression of disgust. Sense, she could not abjure a grimace when she saw the disheveled, not tidy figure. Sense, grimace, verb I, to make an expression of pain, strong dislike, etc., in which the face twists in an ugly way. He tried to stand and grimaced with pain. Grimace, noun. See, Helen made a grimace of disgust when she saw the raw meat. Calumny, false accusation, slander. Sense, the woman was noted for her vituperative calumny against her innocuous, although senile, neighbor. Sense, calumny, noun. See or you, formal, the act of making a statement about someone which is not true and is intended to damage the reputation of that person. He was subjected to the most vicious calumny, but he never complained and never sued. Hook, line, and sinker. Completely, all the way the teacher fell for the practical joke. Hook, line, and sinker. To the police, Thursday was his next to last day. He had been tenacious in following up every lead. Now he was behind the 8 ball, a not good situation. He could hardly cheer up himself to do anything else. The fade of hope he had worn for almost a week was crumbling. There was nothing left to be sanguine about. In desperation, he turned to the police and placed his problem within their jurisdiction. They asked many questions, and they requested that he not expurgate, delete anything. Some of the questions seemed asinine. When they inquired about his relationship to the missing girl, he replied, with a grimace, fiancé. When they suggested she might be hiding in that part of the city where the punk coterie congregated, he was incredulous and accused the police of calumny against her good name and reputation. Week 34, Day 4. Pittance, small amount. Since the tip he had been offered was a mere pittance, and the taxi driver threw it on the ground in disdain. Since pittance, noun. See, usually singular, disapproving a very small amount of money, especially money received as payment, income, or a present. He works hard but he's paid a pittance. Current, up-to-date. Sense, styles are such transient things that what is current today is archaic, outdated tomorrow. Fastidious, particular, choosy. Sense, he was so fastidious about table manners that he lost his equanimity when his son reached for the bread. Fastidious, adjective, 1. Giving too much attention to small details and wanting everything to be correct and perfect. He is very fastidious about how a suitcase should be packed. 2. Having a strong dislike of anything dirty or unpleasant. They were too fastidious to eat in a fast food restaurant. Fastidiously, adverb, fastidiously clean dressed. Fastidiousness, noun. You, noisome, foul, unwholesome. It was inevitable that they discover the hidden body by its noisome aroma. Superscript 3. Trademark, superscript 3. 3/4 sense. Noisome, adjective, literary, very unpleasant and offensive. A noisome stench, unkempt, untidy, neglected. Sense, children think mothers are asinine. Fool, to get upset about unkempt room scents, unkempt adjective disapproving, untidy, not cared for, and unkempt lawn lily-livered cowardly. The lily-livered gangster got cold feet and spilled the beans. Evelyn discovered failure was imminent, and Robert was bereft of hope. It was now Friday. Despite his abstemious and parsimonious way of living, his money had been reduced to a mere pittance. A perverse impulse brought him to the section where young people in strange clothing, and with uncouth manners, made him recoil in unmitigated disgust. He had never been au courant with the hippies and punks. He was always fastidious about proper dress and behavior. A moment later he saw her. Evelyn. She was sitting at a table in a coffee shop, surrounded by a coterie of the most noisome individuals he had ever seen. Evelyn was not incongruous, for she herself was unkempt. So this was her new habitat. At that instant Robert knew as an incontrovertible fact, that he had lost her. With a grimace, he turned and walked, a doleful and melancholy figure, toward the bus depot and home. No. Week 34 Day 5. Women in the ring. What sport requires the timing of tennis, the energy of aerobics, the stamina of cross-country running, and the physical contact of football? The answer is, boxing. And now that seemingly male spectacle is attracting women. What was once viewed as unmitigated, not alleviated brutality has been transformed in gymnasiums across the country into the latest form of workout, weight reduction, and energy stimulator to suggest that women should not expose themselves to the sharp jabs and powerful uppercuts of boxing because they are the weaker sex's asinine silly fool. Properly trained by experts, in good shape from punching bags and jumping rope, women can be as tenacious in the ring as men. With women jockeys, race car drivers, hockey goalies, and basketball players, it would require a man with antiquated prejudice, if not sheer ignorance, to argue that boxing is solely a man's sport. Anyone who is au courant with the status of liberated let freedom to women need not be surprised by their entry into the ring.